This is Anthony and another episode of Thoughts. Today is going to be about the sixth sense, if that's the correct way you say it or category to put it in. My talking points to that will be the first one will be gut feeling. The gut. I guess there's a saying where the gut's just as smart as the brain or whatever. I think it's just a idiom more than anything. But I guess more or less this is going to be because we could all, I guess, point to where we have the same experience, or we could say, "Oh yeah, I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying." So that's more or less going to be where I'm going with this, instead of where previous ones may have a go to things you could base. You could look at your own time and see on the internet or wherever you get your your information from. The gut is more or less us as an individual and how we interpret that. And the six senses I'm about to speak on, well, I'm not sure if it's six senses, but more of our senses outside of what we're, the touch, taste, smell, and all that. And more or less, this is more or less of the space sense. So, gut. Hopefully, my work doesn't hear this, but we're going to say what we're going to say. But, gut feeling. I have this gut feeling, okay? Like, I think, as I said, like everybody must have. If you don't have a gut feeling, then maybe something's wrong with your gut so bad that you lost connection with your gut. But I work, okay, and where I work, I could hide from the public and stuff like that. So I will hide in my closet when I'm done doing my job, and I will spend either a minute, two, or more than a minute or two inside the closet. But I work hard. I do my job as anybody, as any good good coworker would do. I do my job good. Okay, so either I spend 1 minute, 2 minutes, or you pass those 2 minutes, and whatever happens after how long I stay inside that closet, closed, locked to myself, and doing what I do. Maybe straighten out the closet or doing other stuff. But there's this boss I had, supervisor. I'm not saying he didn't like me, but I think he was very serious about his job, and like I think like anything he probably knows. We tend to hide when we're done with our jobs, as good employers do when they're finished their jobs. They say, "Hey, let's be productive in our way with our time, which is hide in the closet and so forth." But I was saying this, he's probably very serious about his job and how he wants to go about it, and I feel this tension in my stomach. I don't know where he's at. He's roaming the floor, and the floor of my job is huge. So to get one place to another, it's going to take a long time if he's not already in my area. Either way, I feel this sensation, this twist, not twisting, turning, but just this negative feeling in my stomach. And in my head, I'm like, move. Get out the closet and move. I didn't. And he opens the door, and voila, I see my supervisor. And he wasn't happy. We talked, and he said, "Don't do that again." Okay, another time it happened. Another time in the closet, being very productive in the closet, I feel the same gut feeling. This time, I listened to my gut. I got out and did my job. But my job was already done, so I'm just basically doing nonsense And guess who came up? The supervisor. And you're saying, and because of that, because his gut feelings telling me move, I moved, and I saved my own butt because I moved. But this is where you're like, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I'm because I got right with the gut feeling. I didn't listen to my gut feeling the first time. The second time I did, and I was right. Even though I was right the first time, I didn't listen to it, and now I listened to it. Other supervisors, very cool individuals, but I'm aware it is a weird feeling, and you're aware. Not even that. It's not even the gut. It's even the sense of my surroundings and their presence and what they bring into into my space that I'm aware. If you know, you know, and it's hard to say that if you don't know. But I'm sure if you're listening and you have some of those experiences too, where you're like gut feelings telling me to do something, and if I don't do it, something bad is going to happen. Or if I do it, if I don't do it, if I do it, something good or bad is going to happen. If I vice versa, I just feel this presence of my other boss, and just he's. I mean, this guy's on it. I mean, he's very like on his stuff. He's a good supervisor. He's just a good supervisor. And I know he knows that I am very productive inside the closet, and I could sense him in my area, and I could feel his presence, but his presence isn't. It's not from the gut feeling. It's just my senses is his presence is cautiousness. Cautiousness is like, oh, I know. I'm just sensing the strong. Even this other supervisor who I feel who might not dislike me, but be indifferent towards me, and I could feel his presence too, and it's like I could feel them, and it's just like this cautious feeling when they enter, and it's not. I'm not sure if it's from my stomach or just from my senses, and I'm feeling this when I know. That's when I know they're in there, in my area, scouting the area, making sure everything's tip top shape because it is. Because I'm a good coworker, I'm a good employee, and I make sure my area is well done and stuff like that. Another, it's just those things where you just can't explain it other than you yourself experiencing that. Like another instance, I look at something and I'm like, sometimes things don't have to be said to know that it needs to be done. And those were some of those things where you're like, are we speaking to each other on a different level that we're not? Because you know how they say all the hippie stuff, oh, we are one, and we are these spiritual beings, and we could whatever. And sometimes I'm not sure if I'm losing my mind or if I'm going crazy or I'm too far deep into this, religious science, alien science fiction stuff that I'm just allowing myself to fall into these beliefs or these I guess ideas of what is possible in our reality. And it's just there's some things where it's like sometimes there's things that are being said that don't necessarily are not even spoken until it's spoken. And I just remember this guy, this podcast I watched, Andrew Schultz. No, Brilliant Idiots, but this guy named Andrew Schultz, and he talks about how you'll start to see stuff that's like we call that doesn't make sense, but it's starting to appear for you, and you're like, why is that a thing? Why do I follow that? Do I listen to that? Because it's like the universe is speaking to you and trying to tell you go this way or follow this step or lean into it or back away. And that's a lot of times where I'm like, well, I'm questioning a lot of my reality, like what's going on. Like this thing, this other thing where you stare at somebody. There's staring at somebody and there's staring at somebody. You could stare at somebody, and they're in your line of vision or your peripheral vision, and you're just aware because it's just you get that feeling because you have people who look at you and like, oh, I could feel that, or you could feel the presence somewhere. But this is where I'm going to a different same but like a little bit of a different variation of that, which is you're staring at someone and they have they shouldn't have any clue to your staring at them because you're not in their peripheral vision. You're so far out, you're so out of their line of sight or thinking, and you look and they look back and you catch eyes with this person and you're looking at them. And that has happened a lot where I look at somebody and then they look back and we work eye contact. But that's also happened to me where there's like I have no thought. I'm walking and all saying no reason, just no reason. There's no explanation. There's no feeling. There's absolutely no emotion, feeling, any senses to why I turn back. And when I turn back, I look back and I see somebody staring at me, and maybe that person is deep in the gaze and they're not really looking at me like that, or they're looking at me like that, but they have, they know that same well, I'm just explaining, there's no reasoning for me to look back to know even that I'm there. And that's where I'm stuck too with. It's like that happens a lot where you just look back and you stare, and it is different from when you're knowing somebody's staring at you, where there's no reason to know or senses to know somebody's looking at you, and you look back and you see each other, and it goes back. It goes back to my other thing was things being said while being said, but you have that feeling in you that say that's telling you you probably need to do this. It is more or less there's just a reason. I already have this sense of like, okay, I gotta do this. Like I was explaining, I have a set of items, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, I know I have to move that. I know I have to do something with those items because it's telling me something. These items are telling me something, and trust me, I had those items before, and they never tell me nothing. Only on certain days do they tell me something. And when they do tell me something, either it's empty or at some point they tell me, "Hey, we need that item," and sometimes I just do it just to do it, and sometimes that's where where you could say, "Oh, are you just doing it just to do it?" And because you already have that in your mind that there's a possibility that this was already even that it's already a possibility that they're going to act anyways, or you're just removing that possibility while even well, the thought what I'm trying to say, the sense is while saying it, because they're feeling that, oh, we're running out, we might need to tell this guy to give me this item and whatever. That's a logical point in how you could view that, but and that's why I'm trying to go with the staring thing, where it's just like, are we speaking to each other while speaking to each other? Is there like something in the in our space that's just like, even though I'm not even aware of this presence, or if they're staring at me, it just is, are they staring at me for a reason, or just gazing into whatever's in front of them, and the space that we are in reverberates that, and it comes to me. I'm like, look back for no particular reason, no senses to me or feelings of giving that this person is throwing out, but just because I look back and we lock eyes and we're like, oh, okay, that's weird. You're looking at me for no reason, and I don't know why. Another instance is another thing I would say is my sister. The way I explain it is it's urges. My sister. See, that's where I will get where you could say, oh, with the items, where I said that it could be me just already knowing that might be an issue that I might have to take care of at some point, and so the senses that I'm trying to convey, like they're trying to say something while saying something. Well, no, saying something, but it's through space. I'm able to already see beforehand before they told me and stuff like that. And this is one of those instances where you're like, oh, this could be the case. You're aware. Oh, my sister, this is this. Which I'm about to explain. My sister, okay, she would always ask me to go out to eat because I was willing to buy them food more often than not. I was more willing to buy them food. And sometimes I have these urges, and sometimes I'm not sure if it's from me or from her, but I have these urges, and there's sometimes the idea comes into my head. There's certain ideas that because I think she like eating chicken, Wingstop, and she like eating Wingstop. There's like certain foods that she always liked to eat. So there's sometimes when I would be laying down watching TV, I would feel these urges of food, or these urges that maybe I want to get something to eat, and and I go to my sister and she's like, oh, I was going to ask you too, and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, crazy, right? And you're like, okay, well, yeah, but that could just be, you know, something, a routine that maybe at this time we usually get something in, the urges might come around this time, or whatever scientific reason there may be for that. But I would get these urges from her. No, I would get these urges where I want food, and sometimes there's food that I don't even want. I don't like, or like I don't necessarily don't like chicken wings, but uh, she does, and for some reason that pops in my head, but at the same time I'm like, oh, I understand why that popped in my head, because she always likes to get it, and she always asks for it, or whatever else food she usually asks. And so I would get that a lot from her. I would get that when it's like I would feel this urge pop up in my head, and it's either the food she likes, and I'm like, okay, I go and ask her, and guess, ask her, do you want to eat something? She's like, yeah, I want to eat this. I'm like, oh, that's crazy, because that's what I thought when before I even asked you. But as I said, this could be obviously, oh, she always likes to get this, so of course she's gonna ask for it. And that's how I always reason it. No matter what, how even when I've got these urges, I'm like, I don't feel hungry, but I just feel like I'm hungry, and I could be her feeling hungry and knowing that she could ask me and to get the food, and so the space, and there's a ripple in between, and then I'm getting that the same urge because she's passing it on to me, because she's gonna ask me at some point, and the urge is so strong that it reaches me, right? And where it got real for me when it came to that is when it was it's gonna sound stupid, but when it was pizza. When it was pizza, then that's when it was like, this thing might be different. It might be there's might be, me and her might have a connection deeper than I thought, or I'm able to, me and her are able to feel these senses in the air, and we're more sensitive to it, to say some people who may not be, uh, because pizza is not something she don't like, but it's something when it comes to me, she wouldn't ask me for pizza because she gets that from her mom and dad constantly, since it's cheaper. So she would get something. She would ask for something else. And I think seafood. I think crab food. But I don't think that was necessarily me, because I was like, I'm mostly, I would eat sushi. It never came to my mind until it came to her. And I just remember, I also, there was a time I felt this urge of seafood, but the seafood was usually crabs and mussels and oysters and stuff like that. And I'm like, I felt that with her, but that one just came out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, that's weird. I was thinking of that, and you thought of that. That you want something like that. I'm like, wow, that's, say that. But the pizza is the one that was more or less of like, yeah, that's something. That's something that I can't really put my it sounds dumb, but it's like you went opposite of what you usually get, and I think I told her you probably wanted wings or something like that. I think, but she wanted the pizza. But when I felt that urge, is I don't know if it's like a word that pops up or just this urge inside me, and it was pizza, and I said, and when I went up to her and she asked for pizza, I'm like, wow, that's the time where I'm like, oh, there maybe there's other times where you wanted chicken wings or Taco Bell or whatever. Maybe those were the times too where I felt that. Also, there's the other one with my baby sister. Um, I was living on my own, and when you spend so much time with your siblings and stuff like that, there's a connection. Like my baby sister, I from the baby to birth to her, until her teenage years, it's always been just me. And it's like she's like my own. She's like my own. And I just remember I've been I I didn't come in contact with them for a minute, and because I'm just like that where I just isolate myself, and I just remember my my sister would play this song of Stevie Wonder, uh, "Isn't She Lovely?" I think it's the song, and when I was walking back to work from lunch, that song played over the intercom, and it's like, "Isn't she lovely?" And I thought about my sister because she would sing that song, she would dance that song, she'd be like, "Isn't she?" And I started to get emotional. I started to feel this deep sadness because I haven't seen my sisters for so long, for not so long, but enough time to where you know I, I started to tear up. I started to tear up before I hit the register, and as soon as I hit the register, I think I got a call and I wasn't able to answer because I'm at the register doing my job, but I listened to the voicemail, and she's like, my baby sister said, "I miss you, and I miss you, big brother. Where are you? I want to see you," and stuff like that. Connections, and it's like, what is that? How was she able to feel that? How was she able to know that? And it just doesn't, to me. You just can't explain those things. Those things are only and I think it's starting to, at least for me, if not for any of you who dare to listen to this podcast, if you yeah, you feel that, and I don't think we shouldn't ignore those feelings, those senses that seem outside of what is possible, because for me that's starting to become so apparent that if I listen to some of these, I guess, intuitions, it's starting to get scary to how things are um, reacting to my actions to those things, and that's one of the things I'm having, not necessarily issue with, but kind of an issue because it's more or less, am I going crazy? But then again, I know people are having this. I know people who feel these things, the same things I feel, and maybe the staring at someone while them actually knowing you're staring at them. Maybe that's on me. Maybe I'm overthinking that. But I think I think these senses that we have, I think there's more to this intuition, this gut feeling, this sixth sense than we are we are giving it credit for. No, we are not giving it as much credit as we should. But I think that's how I want to end it. No, yeah, that's how I want to end it. Maybe these intuitions or the sixth sense or whatever you want to categorize this, um, maybe that's more real than than some hippie or hocus pocus or science fiction or fictionary or cuckoo stuff. But I think that's something we need to really listen to more often and know exactly what how we should approach it. Either if we go forward or step back from what it's telling us. So that's my thoughts on what the sixth sense might be for us, and at least for me. But I think mostly us, because I don't think I'm the only one. Obviously, I'm not the only one person who feels these things, but some people might think that's crazy. It's a crazy thought, but I think that's in reality, it's a real thing that can be um, science based. It's just part of this spiritual thing that is not ruled by numbers. Okay. I almost cried, but thank you.